Welcome back to It's Chow Time Pod. It's your host Red. I got a video today for us men, a little bit of growth. This is an Alexander Grace video, just like showing how desperate women are and how men need to navigate things. So please like and subscribe down below. I'd really appreciate that. And let's get to the chow. It's chow time.
Put a finger down, actual hoe edition.
Put a finger down if you've ever been in a relationship.
Put a finger down if you've ever had a hickey.
Put a finger down if you went back to him after he you over.
Put a finger down if you've ever hooked up with an ex.
Put a finger down if you talked to someone who had a girlfriend.
Put a finger down if you've ever hooked up with a stranger.
This woman looks, she's not even a woman. This girl looks so young. Holy shit. Look at all these guys. They haven't even experienced more than half of the shit yet.
Put a finger down if you made out with 3 or more people in one night.
Put a finger down if you've tried to be a hoe but caught feelings.
Put a finger down if you played with someone for your own enjoyment.
Put a finger down if you talked to multiple guys in the same friend group.
Put a finger down if you've ever hooked up with more than 3 people.
Some people think that videos like this are fake because they don't believe that women could be that trashy. Like hooking up with strangers, kissing 3 guys in one night. No chance. Women are not like that. If that's what you think, then I'm so glad that you found my channel because we have...
Yeah, if some of you guys still think that from my channel, glad you got onto this episode so Alex can explain shit to you guys.
So much to talk about. I hate to break it to you, but women are not the perfect angels that you think. It's going to be painful,
no,
but
they're
you've got
not.
to educate yourself. You don't want to be like these guys in the background who are having their minds, blown as their illusion of perfect femininity is destroyed. The best ways to overcome any delusions you have about how perfect and angelic and pure women are is to actually educate yourself about their motivations and their psychology. And so for a woman who's done all of those like hoey, trashy things, it's important to understand why. Okay, and that can be difficult for a lot of men because they've sort of grown up in this.
This is why I put this episode in, man. Like, sometimes we don't look at these reasons and things like that, so this helps expand our minds a little bit about like just their behavior patterns and things like that.
Myth that women just want to get married and have babies, and aren't women like commitment crazy? Why are they sleeping around with all these guys? Why are they talking to men who already have girlfriends? Why are they playing with men's feelings just for their own enjoyment? What's actually the motivation? Why are women doing these things? Attention. That's the reason. And this is a video that's going to explain to you why a woman's relationship with attention is different to yours. Women need attention at a whole different level than men do, and the purpose is quite different. Now, it's not to say that you as a man, you don't like a little bit of attention, right? Like you do something
We all love
impressive,
compliments.
some achievement. You want people to congratulate you, you want to be celebrated. That's normal, but that's different. That kind of attention that you're getting is specifically related to something that you have accomplished. For the most part, a lot of men are quite happy without attention. They don't necessarily want to be famous. A quiet life with a lot of solitude, a lot of peace.
Yeah, MGTOW, a lot of people that go off the grid. There's more men that go off the grid than women do, so.
Fullness, that sounds good to a lot of guys. For a woman, that kind of existence is not just unpleasant, it's actually scary to them. What you need to understand about women is that attention for them, how much attention they're receiving, is like a unit of measurement for their worth as a person.
It's pretty much currency. It is literally currency to them. The more attention they get, the richer they feel in currency wise. And this is why we tell men, stop giving women so much attention. Stop simping over their attention. I mean, you find a gorgeous woman, tell her, hey, you look gorgeous, walk away. That's it. Let things happen. Don't, every time you see her, you're so gorgeous. Every moment you could say something, you're so, it's not what it is. That's too much. You're just giving too much attention away. She is using that attention as validation for her to be able to treat you like shit.
If you take a regular woman and you put her in a man's body for a couple of weeks, she will not cope. And the reason why she's not coping is because
100%.
she's not going to get the attention that she needs. Like, invisibility for men is kind of our default. We're kind of used to nobody noticing us, especially in the dating market. That's part of the masculine experience. But women are never invisible, and they wouldn't cope if they suddenly became that way. The very thought of them being invisible, not getting a bunch of attention, is frightening to women. What you've got to understand is that while
That's why as they get older and the more attention they lose, the more they lash out, and the more TikToks and the more things are getting posted that they're trying to show the world. It's not them, it's the men.
all humans are social creatures, that's how we evolved in small tribes and societies. And so that was the environment that guided us and our instincts. It's based on other humans. That's true for everybody, but it is really true for women, okay? They're intensely social creatures. They care so much what other people think. Even stronger than that, no, it's an integral part of their sense of existence. I think for a lot of women, if they stopped getting attention and validation, they might actually doubt whether or not they exist. Like, you've ever wondered why women might stir up drama even when it's completely unnecessary? It's because she needs some source of attention to calm her existential fears, reassure herself that she's real. That attention.
You see this, man? I think this is the psychology part that I don't think a lot of us realize. We just call it drama. Women love drama, right? This is what we talk about in the Red Pill. Like, oh, that's why they do all these things, because of drama. No, when they actually look at the scientific and the peel back that drama, it's attention. Yeah, for them to cause that issue, you have to pay attention to them, and you paying attention to them is what they want.
By social validation is just addictive to women, and it's the reason why social media has such a strong grasp over the female psyche. Like, maybe you've seen this in your personal life, a sister, a friend, a girlfriend just absolutely lose her soul through her phone as she just gets swallowed up by these social media algorithms, and she comes to define her very worth as a person based on likes, comments, followers, subscribers. It's really an insatiable need, like, for a woman who isn't high quality enough to.
It's funny because I kind of feel that way now that I do YouTube. So I do constantly look at my subscriber count and like my comments and things like that too. But I don't think it's for attention. It's more because I treat this like a business. So I want to run it as like efficient as possible.
To be able to recognize what this instinct is and why it's corrupting her, so that she can make a conscious decision to base her self-esteem away from that. For a woman who's just going along with her default programming, it's going to swallow her up, because there really is no finite amount of attention that's actually going to satisfy a woman. You know, when it comes to proof of your existence.
That's a good point. You never know, like, how much attention does a woman need and how much is her topping point. That is a good question.
It's proof of your worth and your desirability. It's a case of the more the better. That's why I say that it's not a stretch to use the phrase that women are addicted to attention, in that they will go through withdrawal symptoms, like legitimate withdrawal, if they're not feeding that addiction and getting the attention that they want. I'm going to explain more about that in just a moment, but first I want to tell you about the sponsor of today's video. It's a brand new year, 2023, and I hope the part link and get started today. Okay, back to the video. What I want to do is take you on a journey inside the mind of a woman and explain how she's perceiving things. Okay, so picture some young 22-year-old girl who's physically gorgeous, and she knows it because everybody's always complimenting her, doing her favors. She feels like she's a worthwhile person, that she must have a lot of value in this world, or at the very least in the dating market. And the reason why she's come to that conclusion is because of how much attention she's getting. That's how young femininity works, right?
Yeah.
It really prioritizes attention.
This is why we tell men, stop giving women all these attention. Stop liking all their photos. Stop commenting on all their photos. Like, stop being desperate. God damn.
As the main unit of measure for her being worthwhile. For older women, femininity is measured a little bit different. Like, it's often about, your qualities as a mother, how well your children are doing, that sort of thing. But for young women, it's more about your potential to become that woman later on in life. And so a young girl who has the belief that she's obviously the top of the dating market, she's high in demand, she's a high value person, lots of men see worth in her, lots of women want to be her. The reason she's reaching those conclusions is because of attention. Okay, so that's the first thing to
And this is why all women think they're 10s or 9s, even the big ones, because they're so bombarded with attention, even though they aren't the most attractive. Like, if you check their DMs, there's hundreds of guys still trying to hit it, and that just validates that they are that good looking, or they are that sought after.
Understand is that femininity and attention are inextricably linked. The way that I always explain this to men, because it can be difficult for the male mind to understand this, is to try and find what is the male equivalent. Okay, so if femininity is validated by attention, what is your masculinity validated by? The answer is responsibility. Men who have a strong, well-developed masculinity will have a lot of responsibilities in their life, whereas some weak
100%. 100%. The older you get, the more responsibilities you get as men, and the stronger men's take on even more responsibilities than the normal.
man with a poorly developed masculinity, he's going to be responsible for almost nothing. Like if you meet some loser guy who's very weak and feminine and just seems insecure and unable to actually achieve anything, you're not likely to put him in charge of something, to make him responsible for anything. But
100%.
conversely, if you meet some strong, confident, masculine guy who seems to have his shit together and understand the world, it's like, yeah, like I'm going to put you in charge of stuff.
It makes sense. The more competent you are, the more responsibilities people around you and society gives you because of your competency. If you're incompetent, everybody sees your incompetency and they just leave you at B.
Trust you. Hopefully this makes sense. Like I'm hitting a part of you intuitively that's always known this, that as men, you know, at least subconsciously, we measure our worth based on the amount of responsibility we have. It might be
Yeah, I think we can say that. I mean, I used to take care of my mother. I took care of my brother and sister financially. I do quite a bit of extra things that most people wouldn't do for my family. But it's because I'm the oldest and my siblings aren't just not the same mindset and drive that I have. So, yeah. And it's hard for people to get to this stage where they get these types of responsibilities, especially men. The only reason I did is because I've always pushed and always had that mentality of taking care of the family. But if people don't have that mentality, like they have no reason to want to do these things. You have to really want to take care of your family to put in that effort and money in. Most people don't even care.
be worthwhile to just take a moment and actually consider, like, how much responsibility do you have in your life? Like, do you have responsibilities at work? That's great. Do friends respect you, you know, ask you for advice? That's good. Are you responsible in your romantic relationships? Are you sort of leading in a masculine way? Are you a parent? Do you have children that you're responsible for? If you
See, I love his little checklist that he's going through, you know. These are definitely checklists that you kind of want to, like, internalize yourself. Am I hitting these points as a man, you know?
answering yes to a lot of those questions, it's probably because you have a well-developed masculinity and other people have recognized that and have given you responsibilities. It's not an absolutely perfect system because it's very biased against young men because it just takes a certain amount of time for the masculine to fully develop. And so, like, even if you're...
This is why we say when you're 18, 20, build yourself, man. You need to build yourself. You have no way of showing how responsible you are because you're so young. You haven't built anything. You haven't achieved anything to signal to others that you have become a stabilized human being.
brilliant as a 20-year-old, you're still like a 20-year-old guy, so people aren't going to put you in charge of stuff. And it's also not a perfect correlation for men who've been traumatized in their life. Like, they're great guys, but there's just something specific about being made responsible for things and being abused in that way when they were children or whatever, that they've got a particular kind of hang up about that. But that's the exception. But you get my point, which is that as a man, the proof of your worth as a human being is often measured by the amount of responsibility you have. The reason that I took so much time to explain all of that is because I'm hoping that it resonates with you and you actually have something discernible and tangible inside your own experience that you can be like, yes, I recognize that. I have a certain part of my self-esteem where I feel good about myself that is there because of the responsibilities I hold in my life. Good. Okay, you've got that. Now, what I want you to do is this empathy exercise, because I want you to imagine that self-esteem that you can feel tangibly inside your psyche. Imagine that the source of that is not responsibility, it's attention. Now you're starting to understand what it's like to be a woman, how it feels to be a woman, and why attention is so important. Why do women act like addicts going through withdrawal if they're suddenly, not so popular on social media, or if their friends are ignoring them, or whatever it might be? You understand, it's that self-esteem that's so essential that's now suddenly in doubt. Like, of course, she's going to act in certain ways to try and get that self-esteem back. Like, think of that woman at the beginning of this video who's like putting her fingers down and she's done all of these trashy acts. I guarantee that at the source of that behavior is some need to feel good about herself. I'm talking to all these guys, I'm hooking up with strangers because I need the attention. I need to feel like I'm worthwhile. It's not to say that women can't also derive some self-esteem from responsibility. Like, this thing isn't binary. Women like to have some responsibilities and men like to have some attention, but it is different. Women are just wired differently to men. They respond to attention as an affirmation of their worth in a way that a man never would. So this is the answer if you've ever wondered why you and your girlfriend are so different, why it matters so much to you that you have responsibilities and that you have, some authority in your life, while she just seems more content getting attention. This is the explanation. And I'm not sharing this information as like let's laugh at women because of, how superficial they are going after attention.
Yeah, I don't think I'm sharing this because of that particular reason either. I definitely want us to grow as men and understand the other side. Like, if you want a marriage and you want kids and you want a legacy, these are the steps you're gonna have to take to better yourself and better your knowledge about women so you can give yourself the best possible outcome. Is it gonna be guaranteed you're gonna have a great life, like Matt Walsh said? No. But if you do want that kind of life, at least give yourself the best possible outcome out of it.
That's not the point at all. What I'm trying to do is increase your empathy for it. Like, I'm trying to help you understand why, for some women, why it can feel like life or death for them. Like, did you ever see that sort of phenomenon play out in high school? Like, maybe you're friends with some girls, and if a bunch of their girlfriends stop talking to them, like they get frozen out and they're not part of the friends group anymore,
I've seen this.
The girl's world just completely falls apart.
He's right. Yeah, I've seen this. There was a friend that I was part of the cheerleading group. She did some, I don't really know this. This was way back in high school. I also kind of don't remember. She did something and all the girls turned on her and stopped talking to her. She quit the cheerleading squad and quit ASB and all that stuff because, like, yeah, these people just literally ignored her. So I've seen this firsthand.
That's real, okay? Like, it might not seem such a big deal to you, but that social exclusion, cutting off that source of attention, that can feel like existential death to her. You got to understand that women know themselves primarily through their relationships. It's in that back and forth, that exchange, that validation, that she reassures herself that she's real, that she's valuable. If you cut that off, it can really mess with a woman's psyche. Some guys understand this and they use it in a really...
Yeah, this is where us red pill men use it kind of against the women. So
dark way. Like, if they're ever fighting in a relationship, they might threaten to break up like really, really quickly, or just threaten to abandon them, or just withdraw and don't say anything. And that can be terrifying to a woman. Some guys understand that if you really wanted to punish a woman, like if you wanted to hurt her,
ignore
better
her.
Than just like yelling at her is to kind of say nothing. That will freak her out way more. So I hope you're beginning to understand how just essential attention is to the female mind. But women universally have to go through a journey that can really affect them. And that's the process of getting older. Because hopefully this is not a shock to anybody who watches my channel on the regular, but the attention that young women are getting, in their 20s, that's not going to last. As women get older, men tend to ignore them as potential dating prospects.
Yeah, as the Manosphere, we talk about this a lot. When they hit the wall and they lose that attention.
More and more, and that can freak a bunch of women out. It's like, I used to be young and hot and at the top of the dating market and everybody wanted me, but what, now that I'm in my 30s, nobody wants me anymore? I'm dealing with a quarter of the amount of attention that I used to get. I'm freaking out. What am I meant to do with this? That's actually partly the explanation why a lot of women have children. They're doing it to replace their lost source of self-esteem. You know, it used
This makes sense. And this is also why we kind of have to be careful with women in their 30s. You know, they might be looking for something to fix their biological need and wants for attention.
to be they got a lot of attention because they were this fresh, young, beautiful maiden that everybody wanted to, you know, partner up with. But once they're older, they're not getting those kind of offers, that kind of attention anymore. But at least they can get a lot of praise for them being a good mother. I mean, it sounds kind of dark, doesn't it? Like the idea of having children just so that you have a new source of self-esteem. That's not the full explanation, you understand. That's just one aspect of it. Like a lot of women, they do actually get bored of the dating market and they genuinely want to partner up as they get older. Like they refine their values. That's a real thing. And it's also true to say that like a lot of women can sense their biological clock ticking. Like, oh, it used to exist in the abstract that I want children at some point, someday. But now that I'm getting older, I'm like, oh God, if I don't do it soon, I'm not going to have my chance. That's absolutely real. Both of those things are true phenomenon, but the attention thing is also a part of it. Like I used to get a lot of sexual tension from men and now I don't get that. So I feel way worse about myself. I'm lost. I have no self-esteem. I've got to do something else. I can be a mother. Motherhood is kind of an existential get out of jail free card for women. And it's not the same for men. It really isn't. But women intuitively understand that no matter what, they can always become mothers. And that is a socially approved of and celebrated role in society. And it actually has a very low barrier of entry. It just requires a guy to sleep with you. Men don't have that option, right? Like, there's...
Yeah, I mean, put that in a good terms. It is a very low barrier of entry. You just need a guy to sleep with you and you'll be a mother.
some glory in being a father, like a little bit, but as men, we're kind of judged on a different set of values. I'd like that to change. I think we should be valuing fatherhood a lot more. But
100%.
that built-in self-esteem mechanism that motherhood gives women is one of the reasons why you often see like troubled teen girls get pregnant really early on in life. It's because they can sense that their life isn't going anywhere. You know, they don't feel good about themselves. They don't have much self-esteem, and they probably shouldn't because their prospects are looking very, very slim. And so what do? They get pregnant at like 19. As they surveyed their options in terms of wanting to feel good about themselves, wanting to have some value in the eyes of society, that seemed like the easiest option. So you're starting to see how essential attention is to women, how without it they sort of wither and die. Now you might say, Alexander, this makes no sense. I hear women endlessly complain about all this unwanted attention, you know, all these guys messaging them, hitting on them. They say that it's boring, that it's tiresome, that it's frustrating. Yeah, I just don't really believe them. Like, sorry. I know that might sound harsh to say, and I'm sure there are exceptions, like occasionally that amount of attention might get too much for the occasional woman. But on the whole, what I teach on this channel is to listen to the actions of women, not to their words. So even if they're verbally complaining about all this attention, are they actually changing their behavior to disincentivize that attention? You know, are they deleting their social media accounts? Are they putting on ugly clothes and stop putting on makeup so people don't approach them and hit on them in public? I think it's a case of the grass is always greener on the other side. Like a lot of women might think that they're bored of all the attention that they're getting and they just want an end to it. But really they would
They love it and they're basking in it, right?
panic if it actually stopped. Like they're used to getting 100+ DMs like from simping men on social media every single day. And they're like,
Stop simping, man.
oh, this is so frustrating to have to deal with. But then how would they actually feel if they woke up one day and there were 5 or there were no messages? What if tomorrow all the attention that they're used to getting just suddenly disappears? You can understand how that would be scary to women, even if...
You know what? I can see that. Like, if that was your whole validation of your existence and then it just kind of just halves or goes away, I can see why there's a lot of women in their 30s on TikTok like freaking out and complaining. It's, you know, that lack of attention is huge for them. You know, they feel like they're withering away. This is a different thought process as how to, I mean, obviously we always, you know, most of them are 3 or 4s enjoying their goddamn lives. And then when they're in their 30s is when they start to realize these things, right? That's how we always see it. But this is just like that science behind like why this is so.
If they're complaining about the attention, they don't really want to lose it. Like, as a man, you've got certain responsibilities, and I bet at certain points during your day, you get frustrated and you think, I wish that I didn't have to deal with this. I wish I wasn't responsible for this. I wish that someone else would just come along and sort this out for me. But then you can probably also relate to the idea of retirement and like extreme old age being kind of scary. Like, if you're so old that you're not responsible for anything.
100%. For most men, retirement is what kills them. They don't have that purpose or that sense of urge or responsibility to do things, to take care of things anymore, and they usually end up, dying at earlier ages because of that.
Nobody cares what you think. Nobody asks your advice. That might be frightening because it might relate to your self-esteem as a man. Like, God, who am I? Am I worth anything? Do I have any value to other people? You look at guys like Rupert Murdoch, who's like 100 years old and he's still working. I bet it's because he can't retire. The thought of being irrelevant or stepping back would be too frightening for him. But as a final word of caution, you want to watch out for women who are too deep down the rabbit hole, are just absolute slaves to their
we talked about this, man.
Attention. I'm making this video so that you can understand how important it is and hopefully like empathize and have some compassion for women dealing with this. Like,
this is what I wanted to bring up. Yes, I think red pill, black pill, most of the manosphere, we have really almost no empathy for women at all, right? And I'm not saying that it's totally a bad thing. I mean, I think men should lose a little bit, detach themselves a little bit from women here and there. But the way I've seen comments go and just the way I've seen things about it, men really kind of just are not wanting to empathize with women at all. I mean, we know as men, women don't really care for us or empathize with us, but it's the responsibility factor there too. If you want the relationship and you want that legacy, you want that family, these are things that you kind of have to understand and build yourself too, right? So,
like, can you imagine what a nightmare it would be to have so much of your self-worth wrapped up in just what other people think? As a man, that sounds awful. I don't want to deal with that. So yes, have some compassion, but this information isn't being presented to you so that there's an excuse for women to just...
There you go. Remember, this is not an excuse for them either. I'm not giving them like, any excuses here. It's just for us men to kind of understand what's going on through their minds, right? And if we want to empathize, at least we kind of know what's going on with them. So
sell their soul on the altar of attention. A high quality woman recognizes this instinct inside herself and then tries to rise above it. This is one of the reasons why I do caution against dating women who have been really promiscuous in their past or post a bunch of slutty photos on Instagram, because it's proof of just how deeply indebted they are to this attention monster. And when you're in a relationship with a girl, you want her to be present to you. Increasingly, you want her self-esteem to be based on her femininity, her competence, her ability to communicate. The health of the relationship should start to be a source of self-esteem for her. Whereas if she's still just addicted to the attention and the validation from other people, then she's going to be looking outside of the relationship. Sometimes that can be infidelity, or it can just be that she's on her phone all the time when you're trying to have a nice dinner. Don't settle for a girl who's full-blown addicted to attention. Have higher standards than that. Hey.
How is that informational, Chow? I mean, I just hope, women kind of start to realize their addictiveness to this attention, especially the women's that are in my channel that do comment here and there. Maybe you can share this with some of your friends. But as men, we also, they always say the bigger the sex with the more empathy is women. I almost want to disagree with that, like, wholeheartedly. It seems to me men have a lot more empathy than women do, because I think a lot of men still empathize for women when women actually don't really empathize for much men's issues at all. So it is what it is, but I hope you guys take this, internalize it, do what you want with it. You know, I'm not telling you have to listen to everything or do everything this man says, but take it in. You know, like, my channel isn't made just to like shit on women or anything like that. It's made for us to grow, get different perspective of different people, and build our own moral compass, I say, or our own standards around this dating world. So thank you. Like and subscribe down below. I'd really appreciate that. And I'll catch you guys next time. It's ciao time.